Solve the following system of equations by the elimination method / addition method. So we have 2x minus 5y equals 33 and 6x minus 7y equals 59. All right, so your first step here is to multiply one of the equations by a constant, or both, actually, it could be both, one or both equations by constant, and then add them together to eliminate a variable. So typically what we try to do here is as follows. Notice how if you took that 2x and you multiplied it by -3, that would give you a -6x. And the reason I'm saying -3 is because, yeah, you get -6x, and if you add -6x to 6x on the term on the second equation of x, that is going to just cancel. Okay, so that's how this method works. So let me write this down, what I just said. So 2x minus 5y equals 33. 6x minus 7y equals 59. So we multiply the first equation by -3. We put a times symbol -3, and you get minus 6x plus 15y minus 99. Then we just write the second equation down, 6x minus 7y equals 59. And if we add these equations together, you get 8y, the x's are now gone, equals minus 40. And that's always our goal, is to eliminate one of the variables. So you multiply an equation by a number, and then and the idea is the number that you're multiplying by, so you can get an opposite coefficient. Okay. Now you could have done this as well with y's. You don't have to just do x's, but it was a little more apparent that the x's were a little easier to work with. And then I'll go into a second what you could do to solve for y's here. Anyways, so you get an equation with a single variable, 8y equals minus 40. And you're going to go ahead and divide by 8 to solve for that equation. So that's step 2. Solve for the equation you have left in one variable. You get minus 5. And yeah, you need an x value. So what you want to do is you replace the variable you found in part 2, so the -5, in one of the equations that you had originally. Okay, so I'm going to take 2x minus 5y equals 33. And go ahead and plug that in. So 5 times -5 is a -25, but with the other negative in front, it becomes a plus 25. 2x equals 33 minus 25, so I subtract 25 from both sides. So I can isolate x, and x would equal 4. So your solution here would be 4, -5. As I said earlier, it doesn't matter if you solve for the x or the y. However, was equal to 59 here. So yeah, solving for the y is a little more difficult if you see it in that same manner that I just worked with before with the x's. Like, what do you multiply one equation by to get like the opposite coefficient of the other? Yeah, so in this case, like, what do I multiply -5y by to get -7? Well, that would be like a fraction, okay? And probably don't want to work with fractions. So here's what we do often, and this actually works with any one of these equations in terms of eliminating a variable. I'm going to take the top equation and I'm going to multiply it by -7, and the bottom one by 5. Okay, so you get minus 14x plus 35y equals 33 times -7, which is -221 if I'm not mistaken. Well, let me do that right here. 7 times 3 is 21. 3 times 7 is 21. Oops, I'm sorry. -231. and the bottom equation by 5. It'd be 30x minus 35y equals 59 times 5, 295. And yeah, if you add these two equations together, the y's will go away this time. You would get, let's say 16x equals 295 minus 231, which would make a 95 minus 31. Looks like that would be a 64, I believe. I'm sorry, now let me make sure of that. Yes. Okay. And anyways, there we go. So we get a value of x equals 4 from that equation. So it's the same as we had before and above. But the point here was you can always multiply one equation by the coefficient of another equation and the other equation by the opposite of the coefficient, okay? And the stuff, the y's in this case, I'm sorry, the terms with the y's would cancel, and that always works out, even with the x's. So if you multiply the top equation by, so again, if we're trying to get rid of the x's again, we wanted to multiply by minus 6 on the top and then 2 on the bottom, and then add those together, you would get rid of your x's. But as you can see, you get some large numbers from this, and that's typically how it works when you're doing this method. So what I ask people to do, my advice is to, first of all, try to see if you can multiply a number, or a coefficient of one of the variables by a number to get the other one. So in this case, that 2x times negative 3 gives you minus 6x, the opposite. So my advice is to do that first. All right, thank you for your time.